Now here we have the next video in the series of pollination, and we will see what does it say. It says explain the advantages to a plant species of cross-pollination compared to self-pollination. So this is the same thing we said before, the hybrid vigor point. Okay, the hybrid vigor. We talked about genetic variation. Okay, we talk about variation, which this all will cause. We talked about adapt to the environment. Okay, adapt to environment, adapt, and then we talked about harmful, recessive, harmful, recessive, allele, harmful, recessive allele won't be expressed much, because there will be crossbreeding, so they won't be expressing much. And then we had one point, I guess, this one, heterozygosity. Okay, so we should also be writing about heterozygosity. Oops, sorry. Okay, so number 5 we will have heterozygosity. I think I'm making myself clear here. Then we have the next thing, which is some of the most important food plants for humans depends on the insect pollinators, such as the honeybee. Apis mellifera shows figure 7.1 shows the honeybee. Right now we have a graph, and normally this kind of question requires you to relax and try to figure out what is there in the graph and all that. So a study was carried out in 2006 to show how our food crops are pollinated. Okay, so how crops are pollinated shows the results of this study. Pollinated by honeybee, pollinated by other insects, pollinated by wind, rainwater. So we can see that oranges, at first glance, you can see that oranges are pollinated by wind and rainwater very much than how it is pollinated by honeybee. But on the other hand, almonds are nearly pollinated by, they're completely pollinated by honeybee. So yeah, that's the thing. Now the population of honeybee in some parts of the world have declined in recent years. Okay, with reference to figure 7.2, explain which crop will be the most affected and which crop will be the least affected by the decline in honeybees. Most affected will be, this is a simple question, most affected will be almond, because the number of plants pollinated by honey, the number of almond plants pollinated by honeybee is the highest, and least affected will be oranges, because the number of orange plants pollinated by honeybee is the least. The orange plant is mostly pollinated by birds, wind and rainwater. So this is like a very simple question. Okay, even at grade 1 my answer is. Okay, you have to write the proportions. Okay, these proportions, they want to see the proportions. Okay, when they ask you questions like this, normally they want to see proportions. It's a grade 1 question, but then you just have to keep the proportion, that this is actually 100% and this is 75%. Okay, this is 25%. So you should be writing that down. And then suggest reason why honeybee population have declined. Okay, so honeybee population have declined. We say which crop will be responsible for decline in honeybees? There can be many reasons why honeybee population is declining. Maybe there is competition, increasing competition. Okay, there are more selection pressures. So you can say competition is increased. You see the competition, and increase in predator numbers. Then there are other points like this condition change. Okay, this is a selection pressure. So these all are selection pressures, and there is competition. So we rather mention selection pressures individually. That will make more sense. Okay, so we can first write about parasites. We can write about parasites. We can write about competition. Okay, write about competition. We can go on to explain about these ones, that it undergoes inbreeding, right? So what will this inbreeding imply? As I said, inbreeding means the same. Maybe I should explain this point again. Inbreeding will mean same group mating. Okay, so if there is this group of bees and this group of bees, these bees in this group, they will be meeting among themselves. They won't go and meet this one, and eventually their genetic variation, their heterozygosity will be low. Okay, so from inbreeding we get low heterozygosity, which then causes less adaptation. Okay, this causes less adaptation. So even a natural selection won't play a large factor over here. I mean, it's already screwed by itself. If there was this and this one mating, then you could have your if you could have this and this mating, the heterozygosity will be high, and so among the different traits in the heterozygous bees, the natural selection would be able to select the best. But over here, natural selection won't be doing any good. And then we have increase in predator numbers. So probably there is an increase in number of predators. Is high. Okay, and then lastly we have our plant monoculture provide limited nutrition. Pollution qualified. There is pollution. Okay, then there is pollution also. In recent years there is more pollution. The farmers, like in America, for example, in the US, okay, there is this a lot of pests used almost everywhere in the plantation, and so pollination goes down. Okay, because if the bee goes down and the pollination goes down, so honeybee population have declined because of pollution, number of predators, inbreeding, competition for food, parasites. Okay, and then also we have this inbreeding. Now inbreeding can be, you can forget this, but then this is a very important point actually, because it tells us that because they are inbreeding, there is less heterozygosity, and so they can less be adapted to the environment. So I hope you will remember this point, inbreeding. Okay, inbreeding, right? Just note it down very carefully. So with that we finish this topic, and we finish this question. We'll go to the next question in the next video. Thank you for listening.